don't want to waste time talking. I mean, yeah. Now, have you ever performed in Winnipeg?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I've performed in Winnipeg a ton, but mostly back in the 90s when I was a solo artist,
Yeah.
and then with Shay in the early 2000s.
Okay,
But it's
so
been a really long time since I've
I
been there.
know, I know, because, well, then like when I was doing lots with our community with Shaw, and I'm going, you look so familiar, but the name it doesn't, because I've done so many of them, and Sarah and all of the artists that you talked about, and I'm going, why
Yeah.
haven't I had? But I guess the timing wasn't right when I was covering all of the arts and entertainment. But
I was
yeah,
also, I spent a lot of my career in Asia and in the US. So I
okay.
was in Canada, but I would just sort of like hop into Canada.
Wow, you know what? It's terrible, right? You have to go away to become famous, and then you come back, and everybody.
Yeah. The Alanis effect, they call
Yes,
it.
yeah. Okay, so we're okay on our end.
Yep, we're ready to go ahead.
Okay.
Great.
So I'll count you down for the intro here.
Yeah. So we got about 30 seconds, Tara, before we.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so rolling intro in five, four, three.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tracy Koga. Welcome to a new edition of Hue Spotlight. And normally tonight I would have a live guest here in studio, but I am dedicating this whole show to a very special lady, Canadian artist, well known. And it's not only about the music tonight, but it's about her book, her life. And it's not too often that not only do you have a talented musician, but you've got an amazing author. And putting words to music may sound easy, but actually spilling it out into a book is a whole other world. So I want to give a warm welcome to Tara Maclean. Welcome to Hue Spotlight, Tara. It's taken a
Thank you.
long or many years now for me to finally meet you, but what an amazing journey, and for you, this whole adventure. So we're going to do this show tonight in two parts. I want to talk about the book, because normally with musicians, it's talking about the music and everything that inspires you, but this book, Song of the Sparrow, is truly, not only is it provoking, but at times I thought, my gosh, is this a true story? Like, is this real? It's gritty, it's loving, it's very honest, and there's so many different things that I want to talk about, but for you, Tara, first, to give you the stage finally, your reason for writing a book at this time in your life.
Well, I was given the opportunity to write the book because I wrote an essay just kind of on a whim, and I posted it on Facebook. And that essay was about being a woman in the music business and body image, and it just really hit a chord, and it went viral and was published in some magazines. And a literary agent, Carolyn Ford, saw that, and she was the one who suggested that I write a book. And I thought, yeah, I'm right a memoir years old. I'll be 50 this year.
No.
And I just thought, I think I have a story to tell. And we wrote a few chapters. She kind of helped me, and then we shopped it to HarperCollins, and they picked it up right away. And so I had all of a sudden this amazing editor to work with, and I just thought, okay, I have this chance, so I have to follow it.
Well, and it is so interesting because it is a memoir, it is about your life. And I've read memoirs or autobiographies of a lot of very famous artists, yes, Bruce Springsteen, just to name one, and it's a lot too about their lives and music. But for your story, though, not to give too much away, the way you started off as a child and your family life and not having anything and music just being something that totally saved you. I want to talk about when you write about that first time that you went on stage. I think you were 6 at a
Oh,
fair.
yeah, the prologue where I talked, yeah, I think it
Yes.
was 9.
Or 9.
And
Okay,
yeah, very
9.
little. And it was such a special moment because, and I think it's a nice way to open up the book because it shares the first moment that I really recognized that there was a superpower there with music and that it could move people and touch people and make people cry, which I love to do. And yeah, it was Prince Edward Island in the late 70s, I guess, or maybe early 80s. And I was just at a country fair and I got pulled up on stage and it was a really spectacular moment because I just kind of opened my heart and poured the song out and then looked around and saw the effect that it had. And so that's kind of when I knew that this was something that I had to do.
And love. I think love is a huge theme throughout the whole book. And when you finally get to the end and you make a comment about love and pain, and it's many different faces, do you think that, obviously, I want to ask you, have you now found love? Or I guess maybe the meaning of love as it pertains to you. Am I correct in asking
Yeah,
that?
I think I have. I mean, I found that love is really the only thing that matters at the end. It's the one thing that can get us through, and I recognize that there's a reservoir of love that we have access to all the time when we feel alone or scared. And so, there's just so many different meanings to the word love. There's like that great love. There's my love for myself that is just, I've really worked on, especially since writing this book. I feel so light, just like unburdening myself of all that information. And in terms of romantic love, it's definitely something I'm working on. But I know that I'm ready for it when it happens, but it has to be extraordinary.
Well, I know, and it's always a journey. And now relationships, family relationships. Your mom plays a big part in this book, a huge part. Your many dads, I guess, too, as well. So, of course, it's not a white picket fence, 2.5 kids, boy, girl, little dog, and, everything's roses. For you, it was a lot of hardship. What kind of things, after you've written this book, do you or have you come to, and thinking about relationship as a mother to a daughter or to any child, and has your relationship changed with all of those family members that you write about in the book?
You mean like since writing
Yes,
the book?
since
Due
writing
to
the
writing
book,
the book?
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my relationship with my mom has deepened so much because looking with such, a microscope and in an intimate way at my own childhood and also my mother's life and her childhood and then her grandmother's, I needed to create a thread through the lineage of time, through our moms, to understand the strength, and to understand the circumstances that would have caused certain behaviors. And I feel so close to my lineage and also to my children because, I did before, but now they see me differently because of being able to see what I've been through and how I've handled things and really just kind of what a badass their mom is,
Well,
and I want them to know that so that they know when they need strength, when they're having a hard time in their life, they can draw not only on me, but on their grandmother and their great grandmother and their great great grandmother.
well, and that's so interesting on how you actually had a lot to do with the fate or the way things began then to roll out as you then pursued a music career. And my God, when you get into when you're into the music and you feel all of that angst and you feel the pressure and the partying and a rock star and then a no star and people like you and people don't like you. Obviously, you're on a roller coaster. when you're writing that, when you take a step back, do you not say like, wow, like that was crazy?
That's exactly what I say. I look at it and I just think, I can't believe I had those opportunities, you know? I mean, they were just so incredible. And, you know, there were times I messed up. There were times when I thrived, times when I triumphed, times when I failed so badly. And I think it was just really fun to look at that and to see and to really see all of the people that were a part of supporting me and building me all of those years. And so that when I finally did say, you know what, I got to get off this train. I have to, you know, I'm going to have some children and build a family. It was time for that. You know, when I started coming back to music, I found a lot of those people were still there and still supportive and still excited. And, you know, it's all about relationships. It's all about connecting. You know, we've all been able to talk about how bananas the music business was in the late 90s and early 2000s before streaming.
Oh,
And
I know.
just how it's all changed so much, and just how lucky we are to still be doing it.
Well, and yeah, to follow up on that, it's so beautiful when you write about those relationships with the recording artists, and then also with the record people and the producers. And I remember some of the names, and you know what? When you said, "Oh yeah, he was a good person," no, he was a good person, or she was a good person. So those are the great things. I am just curious because part of the book that really, I guess, not troubled me, but I didn't realize, I mean, anything, your backstory, but your relationship with your grandfather. A very, very dark place, but kudos to you and your editors or whatever. I mean, it was brilliant. I mean, you put the reader in the house, in the room, without describing in detail. I guess was that a part that you needed to write about?
I definitely needed to write about that because, and you know, and it's not too much of a spoiler, I don't think, to share that my grandfather was a very abusive man, and he was also a war hero, and you know, in the town, he was very, you know, revered, and so he, you know, he really caused a lot of harm in our family, and he also experienced a lot of abuse himself and a lot of harm, and so I feel like it was important to think, okay, well, here's the person who has caused the most pain, but why did he do that? And what caused him the pain, you know, and to try and have compassion and understanding for the people who, you know, who do these monstrous things. And yet, you know, yet we all deserve redemption. And, you know, I was able to confront him and look at him from a distance. But he also, in a way, was my sparring partner in life. Like I had to fight him really hard for our freedom and for our integrity and really, in a lot of ways, our lives. And I did, and I became strong because of him. And I think it's also because of some of his strengths that I have inside of me that I was able to confront him. But in the end, I was able to forgive him. And I don't think I would have been able to really illustrate how important that forgiveness was if I didn't really share the depths of the horrors that he put our family through. And, you know, I would say that, yes, it was essential to write because, in a way, understanding what forgiveness meant to me was sort of the pinnacle of the book, for sure.
Oh no, and those are all life lessons. And again, I mean, to open it up, make you open to the world about something so personal. It's very, very moving. Yes.
Yeah, I would shake sometimes while I was writing because it was so scary to revisit those moments. But I just felt like I have this one chance to write this this memoir, I'm going to put it all out there. I didn't know if it would be in my second draft. I just thought, well, my first draft, I'll throw it all out there. And then, like you said, kudos to my editor because she talked me into keeping it.
Are you sure? No. And then I guess, kind of to end off this second part, though, our first part is talking about your love life, your relationships, and yeah, you're a rock star, but then you're a normal person, or you're a person that has a lot of problems, and
so many problems.
but so interesting, and they sound like both your husbands sounded like they were, there for you when you needed them, but also propelled you to your next journey.
Yes, it's a thank you next situation. No, they're wonderful, wonderful men and great fathers. And I chose very well. My first husband, Bill, I like to call them my husbands. Bill, taught me so much about music and was on the road with me for, almost 7 years. And then Ted, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I love that. Ted is, a great father and taught me so much about, just finding my inner peace. and I'm still very close to them and love them very much.
Well, once again, it's a beautiful book, and it's available and out now. But I'm going to let you now, Tara, talk about the first song that you're going to perform for us.
Sure. Okay. Well, while I was writing the book, I felt like I should write something about the book. Like when I was really coming to that part about forgiveness that we were talking about, this song kind of came through, and it's called Sparrow. So it's kind of the thesis of the story. Spend my life looking for a missing piece, desperate for some release. I heard a call from deep inside. I was lonely, I was tired, I was empty and inspired. I hit a wall. Something held me, showed me to myself. Spent last night looking for you in my bed, but you left before I said that you could go. Scream and shout till I'm pity partied out, looking more like I'm about to be alone. Something changed me, save me from myself. It's the arrow in the bow, the sparrow and the song, the marrow Nothing's unforgivable when you let go.
Wow. Oh, that is so, so beautiful. And
Thank you.
of course, now we're going to talk about the album because I guess if you're a musician, right, you got to have some music to go with it.
Yes, I do.
So, did the process come after the book, during the book? Were these songs percolating somewhere in the recesses of your mind?
Well, 7 of the songs on the album are songs I wrote about. So I thought it would be great to have a one-stop shop where people could come and listen to the songs I was talking about, and also to revisit them, because as I was writing about them, I thought, oh, I wonder what it would be like to sing those now, especially some really old songs. So there are songs that I wrote when I was 19 on that album. So it really spans about 30 years of writing, and then there were 3 new songs. Yeah.
Oh, that's so great. And if we go back to when you're talking about your music career and some of the artists that supported you, I have to say Tara Maclean, and you know, of course, Dido, that is so cool, Jan Arden, and Daniel Lanois. And his name comes up so often with a lot of artists. But he always seems to be, you know, like the producer end of it. I only know him as like working with you too.
Yeah. Yeah, Peter Gabriel,
Yes,
U2, Willie Nelson, Bob Dylan, Emmylou Harris. Yeah, he's, in my mind, he's the greatest producer and one of the greatest musicians in the world, for sure. Yeah, and I do write a story about him, about meeting him finally, because his music was so integral to the music that I ended up creating. So the fact that I actually got to meet him one day in such a cool, serendipitous way was so special. And he's still my friend, so it's great.
Hey, oh,
Yeah.
and I wanted to ask you and talk about when you put your musical producer hat on and you did this whole kind of, I guess, musical a production about the Atlantic singer-songwriters.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic. I wish that maybe it would tour again. I would love to see it, but it sounded so interesting, and you know the people that you mentioned, and of course you'd have to do this, right? Interview them and get to know them and everything like that. What was
Definitely.
that experience like for you?
Well, it was incredible because it happened sort of by accident, in that I was really lonesome for the East Coast. I was living on the West Coast, and I was very close to my grandmother who got sick. And so I just started listening to East Coast music to make me feel at home. And then I started reading about the different songwriters, because, you know, I grew up with Gene McClellan, who is one of Canada's greatest songwriters. He and my stepdad were a touring duo for almost 20 years. So I was very privy, you know, to great songwriting, right there in front of me growing up. And I realized, you know, I really wanted to come back to singing at the time, but I needed inspiration. And so as I was reading about Rita McNeil and Ron Hines and Hank Snow and all of these, and Sarah McLachlan, like all of these East Coast songwriters, I realized, like, wait a minute, I'm made of that stuff. I'm made of salt air and, you know, sandstone, and, you know, like this is where I come from, and we're strong people, and I can find my way back to my music. And so I wrote the show, and it was a big hit, and it went on for 3 years, and it was a really beautiful experience.
Wow. Nature has always been important to you, and being in touch with nature. And you speak also too of being in tune with your soul. So meditation, Zen, all of these things. Has that translated into, I don't want to say a new Tara, or maybe it's Tara 2.0, as opposed to, you know, the Tara that's in the book?
I would say so. I mean, yeah, I think, you know, having children definitely sort of delineated my life before and my life after. And, you know, moving to the forest with them of Salt Spring Island in British Columbia and raising them free range. And then, yeah, finding my Zen practice and my teacher, which really has helped me a lot. And it made me realize too that, you know, had things gone further when I was in, you know, the music business and in the star making machine, I don't think I would have been able to handle it, you know, and very well. And I don't think I did in a lot of ways. And now I'm just so grateful for my practice and for meditation. And I, you know, I'm outside every day. I hike in the forest every day or walk the shoreline every day. And that is, you know, that's everything. And that keeps me centered.
Well, yeah, I think that's the wish for a lot of people here. Let's talk about music now. And you mentioned that you're turning 50.
Yeah.
There still is a great imbalance in the music industry, in the music business, in a lot of things between male and female. Although we have made some headway. If you look back at your career, yes, you know the mistakes that were made and what you would have done better. Looking at it now, and you say you have kids, if you had a daughter, would you be encouraging her to pursue music?
I always tell my kids to follow their hearts. And it doesn't matter where it leads them, because certainly it will lead them into some crazy places. But it's the only thing that I really know to be true when I look back at my life, and now that I can connect the dots because I have this memoir, I can see that that's what I always did, and that's what my mom taught me to do. So I tell that to my children. It's, you know, absolutely, and I teach them to shine and to be brave and to, you know, and to be kind, you know, and that if they can do those things, then anything is possible for them.
Oh, wow. So the album now is out too as well. I guess when you hear it, do you also think of the book, or is it all intertwined together?
It's absolutely all intertwined. Yeah. And my hope is that people will read the book and then do a bit of a dive into the music. And that's what I'm hearing, you know, especially people who don't know my music. They read the book and they say, oh, I want to hear more about what she's created. And then people who know my music read the story, and all of a sudden they say, oh, that's what that song was about. I had no idea. So I'm really loving the intimate interweaving of the two. And if it ever becomes a movie, well, the soundtrack is already made.
And that was my last thing, is that this book, folks, reads like a movie. It doesn't read at all like a book should. So there's so many different characters, and of course my mind was percolating on who I would think that should play you, but you know.
Who did we come up with?
Well, no, I don't want to say, because actually it should be you that plays you. That's an obvious
Right, I could play 40, right?
Yes. But we are going to wind up with another song. And like you said, these songs are a reflection of the book. So again, this is another special song, I think, for you, Tara. And I thank you so much. We're going to end it off with your song. Thank you so much for joining us. Tara Maclean, Song of the Sparrow. Sparrow is the album. You get 2 for 1, folks.
Yes.
I think it's maybe the way you're going to see artists promoting themselves in the future. But
I sure hope so.
Not everybody's as talented as Tara.
Oh, thank you. Well, make sure we're all in tune here. So this last song that I'm going to sing is one that I wrote. It's the last song that I wrote, and it was during my separation from my second husband, Ted, and it was, you know, over the last couple of years when things were really quite dark at times, and I was having a really lonely moment. And the way that I was talking earlier about love and about being able to reach for it, in a very sad and scared moment, I reached for my guitar and this song came out. And in a way, I realized it kind of encapsulates my highest understanding of how to move through pain. And so it's called Lay Here in the Dark. And so thank you so much for having me. Turn the light out, close the door, looking at the ceiling from the floor. Sooner or later, it was gonna catch up with me. It's only failure if I don't feel everything. And when the ground falls beneath me, I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna hold on to the edge for dear life. I'm gonna lay here in the dark. I'm gonna lay here in the dark. I'm gonna lay here in the dark until it gets light. Love, I hear you call. You don't look like I thought you would at all. 'Cause love, you're all I have left in this unfillable night of emptiness. And when the ground falls beneath me, I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna hold on to the edge for dear life. I'm gonna lay here in the dark. I'm gonna lay here in the dark. I'm gonna lay here in the dark until it gets light. Love, this is gonna sting. I can feel the wounds are opening. 'Cause love, you are everything. Teach me how to bow when I am breaking. And when the ground falls beneath me, I'm gonna
Okay, we're good. Oh, thank you so much. That was
Thank
so
you. That was
beautiful.
so fun.
Oh my God, yes. Oh, I only wish that you could bring your book tour to Winnipeg, but hey.
Well, I'm gonna have to come there at some point.
Yes, yes. So
Yeah,
please,
honestly, it was just
yeah,
it was
tell
about
Beth.
getting a bookstore. Sorry?
Oh yeah, no, so make sure you tell Beth, like if you're coming through, and
Okay.
so we can do something again. No, that'd be awesome.
Okay, I
Yes.
absolutely will. Thank you. That
Okay.
was a lovely conversation, and I
Oh,
love that you read the book and had so
oh,
much insight. That was really
no,
special.
no, the book is brilliant. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, enjoy your evening.
Thank you. I will.
Okay, bye
Bye.
bye.